Hi everybody, and thanks for viewing this YouTube fly tying tutorial. The pattern that I'm going to tie for you today is kind of a combination between, say, like a meat whistle, maybe a Slumpbuster. Take some of your favorite qualities of your favorite streamer, throw it all together, subtract out on any of that woolly bugger stuff, and you're going to have the fly I'm going to tie for you today. We really don't have a name for this fly, but being that the time that I recorded this video is around Halloween, and my wife had encouraged me to tie a Halloween-esque fly, I'm going to call this simply the Halloween streamer. So without any further ado, sit back, enjoy, and also let me stress that though this is really a fun fly, this is one that catches fish, so please keep that in mind when tying it. For starters, I'd say grab your favorite streamer hook. Mine is an Allen fly fishing hook. It's the S402BL. BL is a barbless. This is just a really great hook. I'm tying this today in a size 10, though you could tie this pattern anywhere between sizes 6 and size 12. I have a nice little black cone head, tungsten, and then I put a little bit of O2O lead wire. You can see how many wraps I placed on it already. After I have those wraps on, I'm just going to slide them forward. Grab a little 6/0 thread. Just going to start it at the base of the lead wire. Just lock that in place. I wrap through the lead wire just a little bit, just to ensure that it's locked in there. Get rid of my thread, and I wrap back to the bend of the hook. Alright, since we're going on the Halloween theme, the first thing I'm going to recommend you tying is grab a little bit of ultra wire. The color I'm tying today is hot orange. Sounds definitely appropriate for Halloween. Just going to lock that in with a few wraps. Next, I'm going to grab a really great material, just some ice chenille, and again, you know it, kind of a fluorescent orange. Just snipped off a little piece. Then for the end, I just kind of pulled some of those fibers out of there, so I'm just left with that remaining cloth. So I can lock those in and not worry about taking up too much space. And I want to make sure whenever I tie these materials, they're kind of dropping down on my side because that's how they're going to be wrapped. Alright, next we're going to grab a really awesome material, and these are some cross-cut rabbit strips in, you got it, some lac. Looks really good to combo with that orange. Whenever I'm going to use these ones, and they're pre-cut, so I want to just make sure that whenever I look at them from that hide side, they're all even, they're nice strips, they're not too thick, they're not too thin, and this is a really decent one. What I'm going to do is just kind of hold this up, make sure it goes, we'll say from the end of that rabbit fur is going to be protruding out the back of the hook. I don't want it to go up to around the eye, so I'm just going to cut a little piece of about that size. After I cut that out of the way, I want to see where I'm going to tie it on. I'm actually going to be tying it on so that this back section gets tied. But if I pull up these fibers, you're going to notice there's some that are really short in there, which tells me this back little piece, that's got to come off. So don't make that mistake and accidentally tie that little piece on, then you realize you've cut something off that piece prior to it, and then you realize you have a much shorter section. So keep that in mind when doing that. So I want to tie on just that back piece first. So what I'm going to do, even though those fibers are naturally flowing towards the bend of the hook, I'm going to hold that there, wet my fingers, and pull them all the other way, just so I can tie that one little section in first. I have a couple wraps just to lock it. I might just wet a little bit more just so I can get a little more room back there. There we go. I do my best to really lock that in place. I can move those fibers back. I'm just going to bear down a little bit on them and then wrap forward about, we'll say, 80% of the way. Next, I'm going to take my chenille, just like my thread. I'm going to try to wrap it underneath that rabbit fur as much as possible. As I wrap this thing forward, I might kind of stroke some of those other feathers so I can keep them up. You want to see as much orange as possible. As I'm doing this, I will just also remind you guys, I'm not sure how often all of you keep those pumpkin seeds and roast them after you carve your pumpkins. I am really looking forward to that. We'll be doing it soon. I might tie that off. I might leave a little bit of room up there. So if you're thinking, well, I could have made one more turn, I am kind of leaving that short intentionally because I'm going to have a lot of stuff getting tied in there, starting with this this piece of rabbit fur. So that is something you want to do intentionally. So I bring this piece of rabbit fur forward. If you notice, it's just a little long. So I might cut it just so I can get it tied in just behind that cone head. and it's okay if it arches just a little bit on you. So I'm going to lock that in place. Now if you look from your camera view, you can see how that thing is just bowing a little bit. That's just a little bit too much of a bow for me. So I'm going to back this off. Let me see if I can just push it down a little bit more. That's a lot better. Now when I go to tie it in, you can see it's just protruding out the front a little bit. So I'm going to back that off. Make another cut. Get that fur out of there, because that stuff adds bulk in quickly. And there we go. Now I have it locked down nicely. All right, next I'm going to come back and I'm going to grab this ribbing. To rib it, I'm just going to recommend, as you rib, you just bring it through this rabbit fur every few fibers. It's not going to be perfect, nor does it have to be. So you can see I'm just kind of picking it through. I get one more wrap in here. After I get that wrap, bring it around, lock it in place. You can see that the head of this fly is really, it's close to getting bulky. It's not quite there yet. All right. Now there's only about 2 more materials I'm going to be adding. You can go crazy with this. I turn it upside down and I grab a material that I love. It's Grizzly Marabou. Again, in orange and black. If you didn't know by now. I'm tying just a little throat. So I'm just going to grab some of these fibers. I really love this grizzly look on these fibers. Just going to pinch away a few. Pinch them together. Make sure I just have a decent amount. Once I do, I'm just going to line them up just so I have a little throat. Gives a little more action. Gives that fly just a hair more of a softer look on the bottom. I take the bases, hold them up. Just cut them out of the way. We only want a few fibers in there. All right, well, we're getting close to finishing up. And there's only one more material that I'm going to add. I really like cheeks on flies, but I also like lateral lines. I was looking through my materials and I found a material that I really haven't used. Luckily, it still works. It's Flashabou. This is a cool white color. Just looks a little odd. I'm going to show you why it's odd here in a second. I'm just going to grab a few fibers, not a lot. I trim them. I tie them in kind of like a lateral line, almost like cheeks. Let them go the whole way. I'm going to extend them the whole way back. I'll trim those in a second. Let me get the ones tied on my side. Again, I don't want a lot, just a few. This is more for effect at this point. So I'm putting those right down where the lateral line would go on a fish or on a bait fish. I'm going to keep them together. Okay, after I have those locked in place, I'm going to trim the excess as close as possible. All right, and now because this is 6/0 thread, I can really build up this head fast. Get it so it's nearly even with the cone head. Get all those other materials hidden in there. And then finish off the head of this fly. Let's do that one more time. Alright, I am going to be adding some head cement. For the sake of this video, I won't do that now. The last step I would do after cutting my thread, I'm going to pull all these fibers back, cut that crystal flash, just so it extends past the tips of that rabbit fur. Now you may ask, why did Tim do this? Why did he put that weird white looking crystal flash on this fly? Does it look like a lateral line? Absolutely. Will it help out the action of this fly? Absolutely. But of course, I got to save the best for last. So what I'm going to reset everything here in a second. When the video comes back on, you'll see why I added these last lateral lines. All right, it's time to finish this Halloween fly, and in case you haven't guessed it yet, you may be able to now. I have my black light shining on this Flashabou, and when I turn it off, you will notice it is, yes, glow in the dark. It gets tougher to see as the room gets darker, so I'm gonna leave the black light on to finish off this video. But I hope all of you did enjoy this little Halloween pattern, and if you're into the Halloween theme, that is awesome as well. Thanks for viewing this YouTube fly tying tutorial. Thanks for Alan Fly Fishing for the use of this awesome streamer hook, and thanks to all of you for all the great comments, questions, and whatever else you throw my way. And if you do have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them directly on this YouTube page, or you can email me at tcammisa@gmail.com. Thanks, and happy Halloween.